accurate. UW's slogan is "Be Boundless," and to be honest, there are a lot of boundaries in place that prevent students from succeeding at the UW.
So, this is awkward. Determined to make the most out of a new opportunity, I was thrilled to travel across the country to start my freshman year at the UW. While my college classes lived up to the expectations of being extremely rigorous, I used these challenges as motivation to seek resources that would support me on my path to success. Content with my first quarter's accomplishments, but excited to achieve more during the rest of the school year, I was fully prepared to return to campus. Unfortunately, due to COVID, I abruptly moved from my productive college environment in Seattle to Illinois. Being someone who thrives by forming connections with other motivated individuals, I initially struggled being at my house when my parents were both at work and my beagle, Bailey, would howl during my Zoom lectures until I eventually caved in to take her for a walk. Switching to a remote environment was extremely challenging at first. Overwhelmed with distractions, it was difficult for me to stay attentive for long periods of time without getting bored or moving on to other tasks. I published that video on March 18th, 2021, about 1 year into the pandemic, and honestly, I was feeling super defeated that the majority of my college experience was entirely online. I rewatched my old YouTube videos I made during my fall quarter of my first year. Eventually, I realized that my Husky experience didn't have to be put on hold just because I was over 2,000 miles away from campus. I didn't know how long the online structure would last, but I did know that I needed to change my attitude on the situation. We are only limited by what we choose to acknowledge. And I chose not to acknowledge limitations, but acknowledge opportunities. I knew that my strengths appeared most noticeably when I'm in a productive environment like a library or a classroom, so I transformed my bedroom. I eliminated the distractions. I exchanged the black walls for white walls that amplified the natural sunlight peeking through my windows, cleared off my desk, and wrote down my daily, weekly, and monthly goals on a whiteboard as a physical reminder of what I needed to work towards. Additionally, I recognize that I thrive when I have the opportunity to develop genuine connections with others. Initially, it was difficult to build these relationships through an online platform, but I encouraged my fellow classmates by turning on my camera and microphone. Eventually, when people saw that I took that first step to open myself up to others through the screen, more people started doing it, and our conversations were much more authentic and beneficial. Because of the adaptations I had made early on in the shift to remote work, I was able to succeed in not only 6 quarters of my college education, like attending lectures and going to CLU tutoring, but also other experiences, such as independently facilitating a remote course designed to support first-year students in their transition to the UW as a FIG leader, working as an academic tutor, and participating in 4 research opportunities where I met the most amazing mentors that I could ever ask for. Most importantly, the pandemic allowed me to pursue YouTube more seriously, and I consistently created videos about the UW so that people could still feel that school spirit even if they weren't there in person, and videos related to self-improvement with the goal of inspiring others to strive towards becoming the best versions of themselves. I share these types of videos to inspire others to not only stay motivated during difficult times, but to also reject mediocrity and complacency and desire to achieve more. My desire to achieve success was far greater than the perceived difficulty of the online format. I found the community I was longing for. I consider my efforts to share content via YouTube to be an untraditional yet valuable example of how I implement leadership into my everyday life. Regardless if I pursue YouTube full-time, become the administrator of NASA, or even start my own company dedicated to space travel technology and Mars colonization, I'm confident that any project I'll pursue will positively impact my generation and future generations because of my burning desire to achieve more for myself and the world around me.